Hi there, welcome to another painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can paint a parrot with acrylic paints. So let's get started. And I'm going to spray the page with my fine mist sprayer to start with. And then let's add in some of the darkest values. I'm going to grab a size 0 spotter brush. I'm going to take some black paint. And then let's put in the black of the eye. And I want to leave a little bit around there for some lighter colors later. And then if you want to paint along, just get the sketch and the description. I'm going to take this gray paint from my palette and I want to add that around the eye. Just make some of those lines around the sketch. Let's take some Burt Umber. We can put a little dot right here. And then we can take this color. I'm going to mix maybe a little bit darker color, so I can take some Burt Umber and a little bit of my black. And then let's try to put this, I'm going to go around this edge here and then up here. So I'm kind of outlining the sketch. And then let's go around the beak. Get a little bit more water on my brush. I'm trying to get a sharp point. And let's try to go around here. Just want that definition and that shape and outline of the beak to really be present. Okay. And let's come around some of these feathers. So I'm looking at this part of the sketch and I want to put a lot of these little lines here. And again, try to get your paint consistency correct. When you get kind of some of these skipping lines that I have here, what you can do is just use a little bit more water, or you could add some acrylic medium in there to help your paint flow a little bit better. Let's come down here and outline some of these feathers. Okay, and also using some fresh paint will help with this. And if you use more of a liquidy paint, that will help you also for the paint to flow better. Okay. So I'm going to take some more Burt Umber and I'm going to put it around this area. I just want to keep the sketch and keep some of this dark lines, keep them from disappearing. Okay, so I think that's good for the outlining. Now let's add in some darker colors. So let's take, I'm going to use the size 6 filbert. And I'm going to take a little bit of black, mix it in with some of that Burt Umber. I'm going to put this dark value right here of the beak. Kind of comes up a little bit. And then the tip of the beak is pretty dark. And then we can put a little bit up here. Okay. And then I'm just going to bring this down underneath here a little bit. Okay, so now let's add a little bit of color. So I'm going to take this red. This is a primary red. And then I'm going to take a little bit of ultramarine blue. And if we mix that together, let's see if we can get a dark color. I'm gonna put that around up here. You can think about the direction of form at this point. And because he's a bird and he has feathers, you can kind of try to mimic those feather shapes as you're putting in some of these dark colors. So I'm gonna kind of come around here and add that dark purpley red. And this is kind of acting as the shadow underneath some of these feathers. Okay, and the blue really cooled down the red. So you can think about the temperature of your colors as well, because you want to use a nice balance of cool and warm colors. I'm also thinking that down here is going to be a little looser and more abstract, because our focal point is going to be around the eye as usual. Okay, so then I might just kind of feather some of this. Just use the edge of that brush and make a little bit of texture. Kind of make the appearance of feathers there. Okay, so that's a good cool shadow. And now I can think about some other shadows that I have. So I have this green color, it's like an evergreen. I'm going to add a little bit of turquoise to it. And then let's put some of that in. Be right in this area. It's just a darker value. It's on the cool side with that teal. Then I can put some over here. So I'm just kind of dotting this in, and I have quite a bit of paint on the brush. And the shape of this filbert is helping me get that dotting effect, the appearance of feathers fairly easily. Okay, so let's move. I'm going to take a 0 spotter brush and let's take some of this gray paint. I might shift it a little darker by adding a little bit of black into it. And then let's put that in for the beak. Okay, so this is another dark shadow. Just remember that acrylic paint dries about 10% darker. So everything's going to appear a little bit darker as you go. I'm going to take some of this beige color, mix it in with the gray, and then let's put that in and try to get a crisp line right here as you go towards the edge. Okay, so I'm trying to, let's put this in here. Getting a little bit confused with my lines. So if that happens, kind of step back and look at your work. I'm trying to see where the kind of the inside of the mouth is, so it's right along there. I can paint this part in. Okay, and that area actually is a very dark black. So let's take that other 0 spotter and then put a really dark black in there. And try not to make it too straight. It kind of had a little bit of a curved, jagged edge. Okay, let's work with the eye a little bit. So I have this Burt Sienna. I'm going to water that down a little bit and then see if I can pop that in around the eye. Okay, and then we can just kind of let that dry before we add any more detail there. let's take some of this tan color and mix it with some titanium white. Maybe add a little bit of gray. We can go in around here along this part. Okay, and that actually needed to be a little bit whiter, but we can let that dry first. Okay, so let's take some blue. I'm gonna grab the 6 filbert. Take a little bit of Ultramarine Blue, and we want to shift that to a duller color for a shadow, so we could add some of this gray color in there. And now let's put that in some of these areas along these feathers. Okay, and that's cooled it down quite a bit by adding that gray in there. Okay, so I think we're ready for some midtones. Let's switch to this 0 round brush. I'm going to take some yellow. This is a mid-tone yellow. And let's put in some yellow in this area. I'm thinking about the direction of form, and I'm kind of making my brush strokes go in the shape that the feathers are. And I could bring this up a little bit into some areas because it can kind of show through and it can mix with the red as well. So now let's take a red color, another primary red, and let's see if we can kind of feather this in. Okay, and then this area here, it's got some nice texture of the feathers. So we can try to show that. And then kind of try to go around that yellow. And then there's some streaks that are going around this eye. So see if you can do some little strokes around the eye. It's just a nice detail. Okay, and then we can come up here. So this is a part of the painting where you can kind of try to be loose and expressive with your brush strokes. Okay, now let's switch. I have a size 9 filbert, so that's a larger filbert brush. And let's take more of this red paint. And let's see if we can go around these feathers that we put in. Might need a little more water. Trying to be able to just kind of almost stamp these feathers on here with that filbert. And again, we're a little bit looser, more expressionistic towards the bottom areas. So you really want those brush strokes to show, and you're pretty intentional about the shape of those brush strokes. Okay, let's put these smaller feathers in and get a little bit more paint. Okay, so let's go back to some detailing. I'm going to take that 0 spotter and let's put a little more attention on the eye. So I'm going to take this beige color and see if we can go around. Got a little too much paint. So I'm going to try to go around the eye with the beige. Okay. And I might take a little bit of white. Whoops. We got some water in there. Kind of lift that. So I would usually take like a tissue and lift that up. But let's put a little bit of white paint. So probably wanted to let that dry before adding more details there. So let's take this 0. I'm gonna take a little bit of the dark brown, Burt Umber, and I want to add a little bit more of a dark area here. So when I kind of step back, I'm looking at what needs to be darker. Okay, let's take the size 6 filbert, and we'll take that regular blue and let's put that in along this area. Again, just kind of feathering the strokes. Okay, now I'm gonna lighten that blue. So let's take some titanium white, a little bit of blue, and then see if we can kind of add that as a little bit of a highlight. Okay, and I'll do the same for the green. So I have this green that's hooker's green. I'll take a little bit of titanium white. And I might shift it a little bit lighter with more white. Then I'm gonna pop that in on top of those green feathers. And I'll do that on this side. Kind of pressing down. Okay, and then I'm gonna take some titanium white with some of this teal. And then let's see if we could put that on top of some of these feathers as well. It's giving us a little variety. Okay, and then I want some little bit more of a warmer green. So I'm gonna take some primary yellow and some hooker's green and see if we can add that into the mix. Kind of feather some shapes there, just so we have a variety of warm and cool. Okay, so I'm going to take the 0 round brush and let's take some titanium white, and I want to come in and add a little bit of a highlight to the beak here. Okay, and I can shift that yellow. And add that little bit of yellow in there. If it's too bright, I can add some more white to cool it down. Okay, I might add some of that around the eye here. And I want to make some kind of white highlights around the eye. And then I want kind of a pinkish, so we'll take some red with a little bit of titanium white and see if we can put that in here as a highlight, kind of a pinkish color. Might add a little more white, and I'm kind of running out of white paint. So try to make sure you have all your colors before you start. Okay, so I'm going to take some white and I want to go around this area. And then we'll put some around here. Actually, I'm going to switch to my 0 round brush. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of a highlight into the eye. Just a little dot. And then we need a little more white around that eye. And then we need a little bit of definition, so we'll take more of that gray and see if we can go around that eye. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna take the larger filbert. I want some kind of pinkish color, so some white with a little bit of red. And I want to add that to some of these feathers here. And some of those are kind of highlighted there with that white. We'll do that a little bit over here. Okay. Okay, so at this point I would just kind of add any highlights that you wanted to add. So with that white paint, can add just any highlights that you think your piece needs, anything you want to emphasize. Okay. All right, but I think we will call this demonstration complete for now. So I hope you give this a try. Please like and subscribe for more painting tutorials, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.